Welcome to It's Beyond Me podcast. I'm your host, Freddie T.
Andre, let's get straight to it.
Look at this dude right here. Don't he look like he'll put you on your neck for disrespecting you? So why they got this man in the dress right here?
We see favorite stars coming to the games wearing little kilts and skirts and whatever, looking weird, man.
But do we blame Dennis Rodman for this? Because he started it. He started the trend, wearing dresses.
Well, back then he was doing it for attention. These guys are doing it on some weirdo stuff. I'm just being honest to people. At the end of the day, you got to look like, okay, you've got a whole bunch of stars, be it actors, who've worn dresses. I mean, we know, you can say Dennis Rodman back in the day. You can say Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo. Sorry, I know I butchered his name. And Wesley Snipes in Two on Fool with Love. And you can say, what's that comedian who killed himself?
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, Miss Doubtfire. I mean, honestly, to everybody, back then it was a taboo, and it was the agenda wasn't being pushed as hard. But now it's like the masculinization of men is being pushed so hard. You see it with this new Ebony cover.
Ebony magazine's most recent cover has everyone talking due to the style choice of Jonathan Majors. For the photo shoot, Majors appears shirtless, wearing a pink coat, knee-high boots with his legs crossed, and many had something to say.
I mean, this guy is dressed up. He's got a pink mink coat. I don't know how to describe that thing.
The guy's name's Jonathan Majors, I believe.
Yep, and it almost looks like he's wearing a bra. Honestly, to people, it looks like he's wearing a bra, and he's got his legs crossed and his mouth looking like, but he looks like a girl, man.
So the pose he's doing, it's from One Piece. So there's a character called Don Flamingo, and he's trying to look like him.
I get it, but I don't, because honestly, there were more pictures.
Yeah.
And the one they chose to push is the one that emasculizes them more than any other picture there is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that, and then you take the new picture with A$AP Rocky and Rihanna. Rihanna is leading him, and he's holding the baby, taking the feminine position.
Yeah. I saw a lot of complaints about it, but a lot of people brought up this counter argument that men for years been wearing dress in theater since like Shakespearean time and Greek time, that female characters were always played by men, and it's kind of new that women are even in the acting and entertainment industry.
But okay, and then if you want to give that argument, this is the situation. You got rappers out there wearing damn well nail polish. You got rappers out
young
there.
boy.
You got a whole bunch of sports stars, rappers, and boxers wearing man bags. I'm just being honest to everybody.
I just saw at JCPenney's today a guy wearing a purse.
You see? And I can't knock a purse, because my daddy had a purse. I'll tell anybody straight up, he had a man bag, Euro style. You know the old school ones where it was like shaped like a little box like this with a little...
Yeah, that's what he had. Yeah. He had it around the shoulder.
But some of the stuff that these boys be having, like I remember when they had Young Thug in the studio, and he literally had a purse that said slime on it. And everybody was trying to say that was cool. I'm sitting there like, he a grown-ass man.
Young Thug was on the cover in a dress.
But you see the agenda that's being pushed. And I get it, because, realistically, the agenda that's really there, people can say it's the quote-unquote gay agenda or whatever. But realistically, the way I look at it, they're trying to break down gender norms and the family structure.
Yeah. And
somebody was talking about it, I thought they were joking, but then I was like, wait a minute, it makes sense, because as long as people don't know what the family hierarchy is or the structure of a family, they're always going to be searching to fill that void.
Yeah.
And as long as people are single and trying to fill that void, they spend more money. You got all these Red Pill gurus and everything, and everyone makes fun of them, but the truth of the matter is, since everybody's so confused, they don't know how to be a straight man.
Yeah, I think it's the most confusing time in our history, because I believe 20% assigned with non-binary LGBT community in our whole U.S. population, which is the biggest ever.
And it's crazy, because I look at it and I say, all those people don't know, because everybody's like, oh, why do they do this? I was like, if you look at all those red pill guys, what do they normally have? An expensive sports car. They push the whole money is everything. and the volume and finding a woman. If you have money, if you have this, if you have muscles or whatever, you can pull anybody, right?
Yeah.
That's the marketing tool. But at the same time, what they're doing is they're taking what used to be the symbol of an alpha male and they're putting it it's that on steroids.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that people are so confused. So people are having to go to extremes to prove that they're a man. Guys are having to screw a whole bunch of girls just so they can say, yeah, I'm the man. Guys are having to put down females to just prove their point. Males are talking about a woman's body count as if it matters.
Yeah, but I think we're seeing the effect that chivalry is dead, Like people used to say it back in the early 2000s, but I think it's finally coming to fruition that
I think it's being pushed like that because essentially there's so many different aspects of life. Like, okay, the whole men trying to prove that they're real alpha, they buy expensive cars, right?
Yeah.
The automotive industry makes money.
Yeah.
The gender reassignment, insurance makes money, right?
And medical, yeah.
And medical. People being unhappy, trying to fill that void because they don't feel they should settle down or whatever, so they over here trying to fill those voids that they'll normally fill by being with somebody and settling down and starting a family. They start buying useless things they don't need.
Yeah.
A lot of single women are the biggest consumer in America. That's for real. They spend more money than any man. So at the end of the day, by that happening, what do you have? You have them buying all sorts of things. That's why, I said more before, the problem is Valentine's Day, you see people do things that they should really be doing for their significant other all through the year on that one day, and they spend so much money to do it.
Yeah.
And realistically, it's just a Hallmark holiday.
Yeah, I'm a victim of that. I'm spending a lot of money on Valentine's Day.
And it's true because, I'm married. I'll tell you straight up. These three things you don't forget: anniversary, Valentine's, and her birthday.
Yeah.
You can forget Christmas, but you don't forget those three.
Yeah.
Honestly, because at the end of the day, society looks at you like, what a scumbag.
Well, social media has to do with it. In the macro sense, also, I feel like people now, it's not like your father and mother's times back when, they had one job and they stick to that one job. Most jobs, you're just like a tool in the machine. So you got to find meaning somewhere else. And a lot of people don't know where to find it at.
Well, you also have to look at it back then when we were growing up. Mm-hmm. If I ask you this question, what TV show that boosts family values right now?
Family Guy? Simpsons, maybe?
But there's no real TV show, right?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, we had Family Matters. We had 227, even The Cosby Show. We had, the shows never end, honestly, to everybody. Even, what was it, Good Times. Yeah. They all were boosting that family aspect of a general family, and you had kids and this family structure and how important it was. Even in a show like Elf, they did that. But now here, you don't have shows like that. Every show that you see that kids watch now boasts either two same-sex couples, one will be males, one will be females, non-binary.
Or they'll take old characters and make them gay.
And then after that, they'll push one interracial couple. It's the fact that they're trying to remove those norms, that structure.
Yeah, that's why people got upset with Velma when they made her lesbian and black. You didn't have to you could have created a whole new character if you really wanted to do that.
Exactly.
But they're taking childhood tropes and childhood things that people are attached to, and feminizing them or making them more part of the LGBT culture.
Yeah, because they found that it's financially more feasible for them. Because I won't lie, if you look at all the female rappers out there, right? Which ones are the ones that really succeed? The ones that have more of a LGBTQ following. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. What was her name? Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
What made her so famous? She had one of the largest LGBTQ followings ever at her peak.
Yeah, Nicki Minaj. Every
Nicki
time
Minaj.
when you say a guy Nicki Minaj fans, you just assume they're gay. That's how Lil Nas came out. He said, "I'm a Nicki Minaj fan," and people just knew.
And I believe it because this is what I say. There was a lady who put out a video it was on TikTok and it was also on YouTube once, where she had a story about Lil Nas X shooting a video, and she said he's really not gay because he was crying. He said, "I can't do this anymore." And
That's wild.
And his manager came over there and this is what she said. She claims his manager came over there and one of the record execs, and they told him that you need to gay up.
A friend of mine who plays drums for a very, 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 very well-known artist was on the set of a Lil Nas X video or whatever it was a while ago. In between takes, he said this kid was shriveling up in the corner. He went over to him and he was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" And he was like, "I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't want to do this anymore." Next thing you know, he saw the label people hovering over him, telling him, "You better gay that shit up more." Right after that, my friend took his entire band and left the set. He said, "We're not doing this." They tried blacklisting him. He still plays for that big main artist, but he lost a lot of clients. And they tried to destroy his life because he took his band off that set.
That's crazy. That's wild. That's wild.
It's believable to me because of the fact that I know that when it comes to business, most of these companies are not ethical in what they do. Mm-hmm. They will market a guy as being not straight just to sell CDs.
Yeah.
They will do that to push the agenda because at the end of the day, it makes more money for them. Mm-hmm. And it's sad, but it's just the honest truth. If you look at half of these actors who have had to wear a dress or act gay, Will Smith, before he was famous, he was at 6 Degrees of Separation, right?
Yeah.
What was he in that movie?
A dress.
What was he though? He was a gay male.
Yeah.
A gay male con artist. That's what he was. Vin Raines.
Well, Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams came out and said, like, you know, they're comedians who entered that Hollywood, and they said they refused to do it.
They refused, but even Cat Williams laughs and says, I mean, every actor has had to do it. At the end of the day, if it's your turn, it's your turn, and it all comes down to one thing. How much money is enough for you?
First of all, let's be very, very clear. It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a guy in a dress. And if that's the case, then it might also be said that there's nothing funnier than a black guy in a dress. Okay, well, I watched all of my friends throughout my entire life be able to dunk a basketball, but not me. So everybody can't do everything. So, you know, some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next. It was his turn next. His turn next. Okay. Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
You can still make a lot of money without having to sacrifice yourself like that, but at the end of the day, you're not going to make the uber millions. If you look at Will Smith now to then, even with the whole slapping debacle, honestly, to everybody, he's rich as hell.
Yeah.
Nothing is really destroying him. I mean, at this point, if he retired with $300 million in his account, give me $300 million, you'll never see me. I'm just being honest.
That's the price for you to put on the dress?
I'm not going to put on a dress, but I'm just saying, honestly, to everybody, that's the way he looked at it. Mm-hmm. He looked at it like it's just a minor setback. And, you know, he was probably thinking of it the way you were saying that, you know, oh, yeah, you know, back in the day, actors, they had to dress up in dresses. They had to be versatile to act as women, sexually promiscuous or ambiguous in some sense. As a person, you got to question what's your price and what is really worth to you. The thing is, everybody always says black men are emasculated mostly because I feel the only reason it stands out when it's done to them is because as a black man, your masculinity means more to you than anything.
Yeah.
Because it's the one thing that they were never really able to take away from you throughout history.
Yeah.
It's just a general sense to me. That's all, because it doesn't matter if you're from Africa, if from what. Being a man is being a man. That's what it is. And you come here and it just seems like it's just one of those Hollywood rituals where they, in order to get into the in crowd and start getting those contracts, you gotta make yourself vulnerable to a certain degree, and that's what they do.
And a lot of these rappers have came out, like these smaller rappers, and said, yeah, they tried to get me to, do the whoop with old dude.
I forget which podcast I was watching where the guy sit in the barbershop.
Yeah, the barbershop one. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
The guy says, there are a lot of rappers who they take them to parties, they get them drunk, and they put them in situations where they compromised.
Yeah.
I had like 2 record deals, right? Mm-hmm. And
They wanted your butt?
yeah,
I mean,
And men do get the R word a lot more.
They get E-part a lot. And, honestly, to a lot of people, it happens. It's just the reason it's never really reported is because it's like, I once said to one of my cousins, I was reading a GQ magazine thing, and it said a guy went out and chilled with 3 of his homeboys. They got drunk and they were on other party favors, and he passed out. When he woke up the next morning, he had a condom sticking outside of his wrist. And they said the question there was, if that happened to you, would you report it to the police?
Yeah, some things, guys just take to the grave. Like, how can you, go back to your homie? Like, come on. Like, let's be honest. Like, you tell your homie something like that.
And my thing is, like, my cousin, he goes, oh, yeah, I'll call the police. I say, no offense to you, but my 2 homeboys are both going to be dead. And he was like, why? I was like, because in order for that situation to happen to me, it means my other homeboy watched.
Hey, yo.
Either he partook or watched it happening to me. That's the way I say it, but a lot of guys don't see it that way, because the problem that's there is the way society is at this time. I was walking around a department store one day, and I heard some kids talking about their sexuality. And I forget what the kid said. Either this girl was cute or something, and the other guy was like, aren't you gay? And he was like, no, I'm bi. And I look at it and I'm like, bro, like, you're only 13 years old, man. Get off the gas. I was like, come on,
I feel
bro.
like it's very abnormal for someone that young to...
Man, these kids are so confused these days, and this agenda has been pushed on everybody. And that's why I say I don't feel it's just an agenda that's affecting black men. It's affecting men as a whole in society right now, because of the fact that most of these young guys that are in high school, middle school, and whatever, they are so confused on what's going on and what they have to do to prove that they're a man, that they just want to fit in.
Yeah.
And in most cases, they're doing things that they're going to regret in the long run, because that's just what they got to do to fit in.
I forgot what philosopher said this, but he was like, after religion, people are going to cling on to a new religion, a new identity. And they kind of quoted him for creating identity politics, but like, people are going to find something to attach themselves to, so, they can fit in a culture. And LGBT has become somewhat of a culture, even though I wouldn't call it a traditional culture, but it's an identity that people want to cling to.
Quite a big chunk of people are coming. Back in the day, it was like 8%, maybe 5%. Now we're in the 20s, 25. I mean, we almost a quarter of the population is identifying as something LGBTQ.
Like, the feminization of men, like, I feel like to some people, they have the diagnosis of being homosexual, they are by birth, and I believe them, like, ever since they were young, they knew. But I feel like a lot of people now are getting programmed into it.
Yeah, because I believe gender dysphoria is true. It's a true diagnosis. But at the same time, and it's a proven fact, a lot of this behavior that these kids are getting is from social media, from what's being fed to them constantly, from what they're seeing on TV. And it's sad because, everybody's painting it as, oh, it's normal.
Okay, so I'm not sure if that was real. However, I did go to that Instagram profile and look at this young man. And this is not to be offensive. This is simply to introduce a serious conversation. Because as a black woman who hopes to go off and be with a black man, procreate black men and black women, when I look at the state of black male masculinity and the agenda and the continuous push to put black men in dresses on the red carpet, here and there and everywhere I turn, or when you look at Disney, a lesbian or homosexual character, and we know that our children are watching this, and you see the push, it continuously makes you wonder, what exactly are we going to do? Because I feel like we're in this state of where we're accepting everything. Everything is changing. Unicorn children, rainbow children, everyone's a rainbow. Calling our children this and really being accepting of who people want to be and identify as. We're losing our family. We're losing what it takes to procreate self, the vision and the goal.
Oh, it's the in thing to do. You got some parents forcing their kids to get reassignment surgery because they say, my kid's 8 years old and he knows what he wants. At 8? Are you for real?
He wants chicken nuggets. Like, chill out.
He's not even old enough to buy booze or buy cigarettes.
But
he can drive a car, but he can
chop off his,
Yeah. It's that whole agenda that they've been pushing has been for a reason. Like, because at the end of the day, when you have all these confused men who don't want to be with females and all these females who want to be men, what's going to happen is the population is going to start to dwindle.
Society needs a consensus of, is this right or is this wrong? Because that's what we have laws for. But the laws are, it's getting to murky waters where a lot of new technologies and new ideas are coming out, and we don't have regulations for them. And a lot of corporations are getting away with a lot of things. Like in Asian culture, China, Japan, like you can only advertise a certain amount of sexuality on TV for kids to watch. America doesn't have that really.
Back in the day when we were growing up, ads for tampons, herpes, and all that used to come out late at night when kids were in there. These days, when you watch TV or you even watch any social media and a commercial comes up, you find one for AIDS, that drug that masks it or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I seen that one.
It comes out all the time, and I'm sitting there like, wow, they just don't care anymore. And it's like a norm now. Everything is just normal.
Yeah.
Things that used to be taboo are not taboo anymore.
We've gotten very desensitized to a lot of things. And you can even tell, it's not just homosexuality or the LGBT community. It's just regular sexuality too. Like, they're making all these moms bricked up, stacked for no reason, having little kids bricked up in the morning. Like, come on.
For a while, they were pushing the whole sexual freedom. That's when they were just pushing that, oh, you're never too young to experiment and do this, right? Like I said, with another topic we talked about on the red pill thing, I said, I find it real funny that a lot of these red pill guys talk about volume, and you got guys like Sneeko talking about that they uber alpha males, but yet they'll sit there and watch their girls being broken down by another guy, and they like that's cool, that's normal.
And the only person who can counter them is a guy who in an open relationship,
but I still look at it like a weakness, dude, because at the end of the day, you're telling me that you're not man enough to please your girl. That's exactly what the guy's telling me. And then on top of that, it's like, bro, I don't know about them. I'm not going to sit there and watch my girl get broken down by another man.
Yeah.
That ain't happening. And then, but these guys, they want to try and paint it like it's normal. And that's why I say, what they did is they destroyed what was normal. They destroyed the common household structure. Then they destroyed the gender roles of everybody.
They destroyed monogamy.
Then they destroyed monogamy because now it's like it's not cool to be loyal to your other person. You know what I mean?
Like you can go through Tinder right now. Half of these people say polyamorous.
Yeah.
They say bi. They say open relationships, and you're just like, what?
And
like,
then these days, you know, you get dogged for saying that you would rather be with a female who was biologically born as a female. You get dogged for that. A lot of people are trying to be woke and fighting for LGBTQ and what a lot of straight people fought the fight for them. They can't act like the fight was only they fought it by themselves. No, there are a lot of straight people that fought with them.
Like Obama was the champion of the gay marriage in 2008.
I put it like this, man. He wasn't the only one. There are a lot of straight women out there who I've seen. That's why I laugh when I hear a trans person say, "Oh, cis women, what makes them better than us?" I'm like, bro, like these biologically born women fought for your rights just like you're fighting for yours.
Yeah.
And now you're telling them that you want to compete against them in sports and take away their scholarships.
And people who say like high school sports, it's not that serious. It is serious. Like a lot of these people depend on getting to college.
Depend on those opportunities.
Like I wouldn't have gone to college if I didn't play sports. Like most people wouldn't have gone to college if they didn't play sports. Like most small town colleges, like half of the population of the school is athletes.
Now you're taking away some of the scholarships that females were getting. It's not because they're trying to be versatile and include everybody. There's no inclusion in this whole situation. Because as a straight man, I feel like I'm the most hated thing walking in the street on a regular day. These days, being straight is like rare. It's sad to say. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody.
Like we're not trying to be controlling. Like if there's no rules, it's anarchy. That's what anarchy is. When there's no rules, you know. So we can't have anarchy where no one knows what to do, so we just do anything. Like we gotta have some standard in society where we're like, all right, this is acceptable and this is not. But nowadays, people are coming out in bikinis in public. I was just in New York just a year ago. Dudes walking around in bikinis, buffed up, you know, bricked up. You can see them, you know, with their thing, and people acting like it's normal. Like
you got trans women walking around with a bulge. You've got them wearing practically nothing sometimes. And like I tell anybody, whatever your sexual orientation is, whatever you like, that's on you. That's none of my business. That's nobody else's business. You do what you do. But at the same time, when it's pretty much like you're just shoving it in our face for us to see, they need to be decent, man.
Yeah.
Because they're kids out there, dude.
There is. Like, when I was in New York, I was at the Mermaid Parade. I just walked past because I worked on the shores of Coney Island. So I walked past it. There's little kids watching these guys. You know, the dudes looking like girls in bikinis and dresses. Like, you don't think that affects a kid? Like, he's like, why is that guy in a dress? I can tell that's a man, but he's in a dress with breasts.
And then you got these mothers on TikTok painting their little son's nails, thinking that it's cool. And I'm like, dude, you're just confusing the kid. I don't care if you think your kid is gay or whatever. At the end of the day, let them get to an age where they can make their own choice. Don't try and push your beliefs on your kid because you're lonely and you want somebody to have girl talk with and paint nails with and do all that stuff with. Because at the end of the day, it's wrong.
And I remember I read this book when I was a kid, and it was this author talking about child abuse. And one of the abuses was his mom making him wear a dress. But now that's socially acceptable.
Yep.
Like, there used to be abuse, like, not too long ago. Just like 10 years ago, you would call that abuse. But now
that's okay. And the saddest part is the schools and the state and the cities are working hand in hand and taking away parents' rights to speak about it. There was a guy who I saw on TikTok. He was complaining to a teacher because he was like, they keep on letting his kid dress up as a girl. And he was like, he does not want that. And They pretty much told him whatever he wanted or whatever he thought didn't matter.
Yeah.
They're not working to try and save the family structure. They're not working to try and save the gender structure. They're not working to try and save us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this on the ebony cover is the true depiction of what a man is, bro, what in the hell?
Do you consider the problem that's going on now a reflection of art or art reflecting life? Do you think that...
I think art is reflecting life.
Is it?
The problem is, you know, the reason I get pissed off when I see things like this is because I look at people and I say, okay, what people fail to understand is America and society as a whole has put celebrities on such a pedestal that they're pretty much gods.
Yeah.
And then that's what our kids look up to. And, you know, back in the day, you looked up to a sports like Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
You looked up to Fat Albert. You looked up to, you know, because he was a cartoon, but he was fly.
Yeah.
You looked up to Heavy D. Mm-hmm. I was a big boy. So honestly, to everybody, most of my role models were not thin because I wasn't going to set myself up for failure like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had Notorious B.I.G., you know, Fat Joe, Big Pun, you know, guys like that, they were fly. Yeah. They had girls, you know, they had the words, they had the charisma. That's what's up. As a kid now, I just look at kids and I say, what are they looking up to? The true definition of what a man is no longer evident in society.
Yeah.
People, you know, when we were growing up, there were different definitions of what is a man, and though all the definitions came down to masculine things.
Yeah.
Like, when do you become a man? You become a man when you become responsible for other people. And part of that is taking accountability. Yep. And so, like, I'm very new to this being a man thing, and I'm still not there, and I'm on a path. I grew up in a culture that told me going to war made you a man. Going to prison and coming back makes you a man. Making $1 million makes you a man. You know, I don't know nothing about being at war like Kevin, but I know a bunch of soldiers that come back, can't wait to get back out. I know so many dudes can't wait to get back out, you know. So my definition of warrior has changed.
Me too.
Like, you know, I didn't really know what that meant. And really, it's about bringing others back. Dudes who've been where I've been or something similar, just know it gets better.
These days, what's the definition of a man? It's pretty vague.
I feel like we just need more Uncle Phils. Like, Uncle Phil was a good, like, black role model. I remember most kids would be like, damn, I wish I had an Uncle Phil.
And it was funny because in real life, he was gay.
Mm-hmm.
That was the funniest part about it. But you know what? He still played a good father and played that role right.
Yeah.
When you used to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it wasn't about, oh, he's a gangster and all this, like the new one bases everything on. You know, times change. But, you know, back then, it was, he came from Philly, hard life. He's trying to change and he's making choices. Yeah. And every episode had a lesson. It wasn't just the same crap you see these days. Let's take Blueface and Krishan. Yeah, the toxic relationships, and we're boosting that. Yeah. That's what they're pushing. Okay? Then you take Love and Hip Hop. Toxic relationships again. Mm-hmm. And what are they showing? They're showing the everyday, the young black man and female that, you know what, this is the norm. This is what you should do. You shouldn't respect your significant other. You shouldn't you should be out there screwing whatever you can screw. You should be, you know, you want to be FNF. You want to be the man. You want to be the girl. You want to be that boss chick. But the funny part about it, and I'll say to my wife, you know, it's kind of hilarious that you got the city girls and all them talking about they can do better without a man, right?
Yeah.
You got Ciara releasing this stupid song she released recently where she's like, she can do better without a man. She's single, but she married.
Going back home to Russell.
You got city girls. One of them messing with PD, the other one messing with Uzi. And I'll be honest, man, even some of these rappers, they tell everybody that they're gangsters, they're this. Bro, you're wearing tighter jeans than my little sisters.
Yeah. Maybe everyone has become so eccentric because of lack of creativity.
I can't say it's lack of creativity. I think...
But look at that 90s show. It's supposed to be set in the 80s, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a follow-up to the 70s show, and the 70s show was fire.
It was fire. You know, you had classic family structure. You know, you had Eric, the guys, the gang. You know, and Fez may have been the most, you know, he wore tight clothes, and that was the style back in the day. But
Fez was questionable. He was sexually ambiguous, if you ever really watch it.
Yeah.
Because he was, at one point, he would come off like he was very feminine, and at another point, he would come off as the ladies' man.
Yeah, it was just one character. But now, most of the cast now, like, on that 80s shows, like, you don't know any straight character, really, besides Red and Kitty.
There are a lot of gay people out there who do believe in traditional gender roles, or believe that in every relationship there has to be a dominant and there has to be a non-dominant. This whole non-binary thing doesn't really make any sense to anybody. And that's the whole point. The whole point that's there is just the blind leading the blind right now.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like, when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers got to wear a dress. This happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. It's the writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute. And he put this dress on. And what? A prostitute? No, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then, like, the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. Wear the dress? I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? This is, oh, gosh, this guy's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers comes, come on, David, would be so great. I mean, I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine. Think of something else. Guy comes back 10 minutes later, the whole new scene. Hot damn, how did you write the scene so fast?
It's like I said, you know, the destruction of the family and everything, it shows. And at the same time, the other thing that kind of sucks is a lot of these actors chose to do it voluntarily.
Yeah.
They chose to sacrifice their manhood. They pretty much, they took the money to be a hoe.
Yeah.
Let's be for real.
But that's all we can see. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors, too.
Yeah, but I also look at it and I'm like, you know, like Dave Chappelle said, they came, they proposed it to him. Mm-hmm. He said no. They tried again. He said no. Even with the pressure, he stood on his boundaries. Yeah. And then on the same time, you look at Kevin Hart.
This is Kevin Hart himself speaking on the dress situation, wearing a dress. Now, this was before he put the dress on. So keep this in mind. These comments that he's about to make is before he wore the dress.
All right, so I'm here Kevin Hart, I mean, to say that this has been a big year for you is really an understatement. I mean, really with last year's Laugh in My Pain tour, it really propelled you just to a different aura among, wider audiences. Now you're in 5-year engagement and Think Like a Man coming out the same weekend. What do you think about your roles in these romantic comedies? And will we ever see you in like a thriller or as a superhero or something like that?
Well, I think where I am in my career now, I'm financially stable. So, the roles that I'm able to choose now, they can be good roles. They can be smarter roles. I don't have to take certain movies. So it's all about the movie making sense and the role making sense. If it's something that can catapult me into a different, level of stardom or take me someplace else.
It's his turn next. It's his turn next. His turn next.
And yes, other than that, I don't want to do things just to do them anymore because I don't have to. So I'm just trying to get better and be more about the craft and pick my projects a little more wisely now.
Dave Chappelle, another great comedian, said that, in the industry, they tried to make him wear a dress.
Not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing the dress.
Have you ever ran into that with scripts? And is that something that, you wouldn't do, for
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross. For me, I know what they are. They've yet to been challenged, so I don't have to speak on them. I was asked to dribble a basketball on a talk show this morning.
You look
said
good
no to
doing
that. Not that was a dress, but I was like, no, I'm gonna look stupid. At the end of the day, you got to know that you're a brand. I'm a brand. You need to protect your brand at all times.
The Kevin Hart we know now is Mega Million Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Mega Uber star Kevin Hart. Has his own channel, Kevin Hart. And back then he was Kevin Hart, the successful comedian. Now he's the entrepreneur, the businessman, everything. Now, does that mean that's what he had to do to get to that next level? Because if you notice what he said, they say you stick to your boundaries and you only do things if they will take you to the next level.
Yeah.
So are you trying to tell me that he had to give his self-respect up to get to that next level?
I mean, that's what it seems like.
But that's when I then end up looking at all my black brothers and I say, bro, what is enough that you're gonna sell your soul? Because these dudes look like they'll do anything. At this rate, I look at some of these rappers who say some of these stories and I say, it's gotta be true. Because I know some of these dudes are doing anything to get out the hood. So when they end up having things like that happen to them, honestly, they knew what time it was.
Yeah.
And they chose to do that.
I mean, but look at all the people they showed. Like, it wasn't until they wore the dress that they hit the next level.
Yeah.
Like, none of these guys were wearing dresses
Will
before.
Smith, Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, all of them had to hit. Even Wesley Snipes.
Mm-hmm.
They all had to do that before they became
like superstars. Like, they were famous, don't get me wrong, but there's a different level of fame you achieve, right? Like, if you look at their careers, like, they wore the dress and now they're a household name. Like,
well, I put it like this: they were hood famous.
Yeah.
I put it like that. They were famous amongst their friends, famous amongst the everyday man. But this time, well, after they wore this dress, their wallet actually started to match their fame.
Yeah.
Because before, a person would come out on a couple commercials, do a couple videos, do a couple CDs, make a meal or two,
Yeah.
and he'll be famous. He'll be wealthy,
Yeah.
but he won't be rich. But then when they wear this dress, now you're making $20 million a movie. You're being offered roles where the minimum is 40, 50.
Yeah.
You're being given opportunities where in the long run, you're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. You're being invited to tours where you're filming and you're getting a double check because you're making money off the video that you're taping and off the channels of it coming out on Netflix and off the fact that you're touring.
Yeah. What about a person like Tyler Perry who says, I may wear the dresses, but at least I'm using the money to put back in my community and making a black independent studio.
Man, there's a double-edged sword to everything. At the end of the day, I can't knock Tyler Perry, but at the end of the day, I don't think I would have gone as far as to pretty much cross-dress to become a billionaire, which he did. I mean, he did that. I can't knock the man. He did that.
He did.
There's no explanation for it, but he did it, and he made money. And I won't lie, the man has given back to his community.
And one thing I appreciate about Tyler Perry is he doesn't make other men wear dresses in his productions.
Yeah.
I was just watching one of his productions today. Like, all the guys weren't feminized.
And to be honest to everybody, if you really watch most of his movies, they concentrate on the importance of family, the family structure and all that. So you know what? He's doing everything. He's paying the cost so that people can learn. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But then you got the Kevin Hart's. Well, what the hell did he do? What is he doing for his community?
Yeah.
When's the last time you heard of Kevin Hart really giving back, per se? And at the end of the day, was it really worth it, what he did?
And giving back isn't just donating charity, because charity is that's just going to other people's pockets. Giving back is like putting jobs in your community.
Putting jobs in your community, teaching other people the art, teaching a better way to the youth.
And giving a platform to younger, other artists. And that's what I'm saying, he's giving back to the community.
And at the same time, we can't even blame them guys. You gotta look. It's like I said, it first started. They first started doing it with the sports stars.
Yeah,
that was the trial run. They did a couple actors here and there. Did it with the sports stars, and you see all these sports stars wearing skirts, all these sports stars dressing feminine. And then as time went on, they started doing the actors. Then when the actors, when they saying that they've got enough actors on board for this, then they started going into the rap stars, because up until then, a lot of rap stars, it was unheard of. The most masculine thing was to be a rap star.
Yeah.
It was the branding of, that's what made a rap star a rap star. The old DMXs of our time, you know what I mean? The Tupacs, the Notorious B.I.G.'s, it was all about, they spoke about being a man because that's what they were and that's what they sold. That's what they marketed. They talked about being a gangster when, as time went on, you had, the Little Waynes, the whatever, and everybody was wearing baggy jeans, and then that's what I tell people, like, things have changed. When time went by, I understand that fashion changes. Yeah. And I'm all about fitted, but I'm not about tight. Yeah. I'm just being honest. I look at a lot of people and I say, bro, if you're wearing pants and they're so tight that I can see your indentation and I'm not even trying to look. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's not right. It's like a man wearing yoga pants, bro. Like, you can't miss the situation. You're sitting there like, what the hell's really going on here, bro? Yeah. Because you got to question this man, like, yo,
am I tripping?
Am I tripping? Like, bro, I can't even unsee what I just saw.
And the sad thing is, like, people like Jay-Z, who didn't wear a dress his whole career, are promoting artists
that are doing that. They're pushing that agenda.
And he finally got in a place where he could be a platform to promote original artists, but,
they're pushing that agenda. They're pushing the females emasculating men. They're pushing, the whole nail polish situation and all this. 50 Cent, when they say Jay-Z wants to look like a gay artist. And until he was doing gay shit with Diddy.
Well, and Nas said that in his diss song, "Y'all rock, I rock, and y'all rock, fellas." Rockefeller.
But it's just funny because until they brought up the picture of the artist that Jay-Z's been trying to look like, I didn't know. I never clicked in. I never put two and two together. But then when I saw it, I was like, "Wow, shots fired!" But it's true, and the problem is that's what is selling. Everybody wants to be known. The problem that's there is, like, we idolize these stars and we think they're perfect. When we fail to understand that relationships for celebrities are different from relationships that we have. Yeah. We have real relationships. Celebrities have business deals. Yeah. Majority, back in the day, it came out that a lot of celebrities that we thought were dating were only together because their recording companies made them get together. Yeah. Because it was more financially feasible for them to be together because that's what everybody wanted to see. They were the perfect couple. But it's just the way it is. I mean,
it's business, yeah.
You've got the city girls dating Diddy, and she's apparently getting paid money to be with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She can say, "Oh no, it's maintenance so that she looks good or whatever." Bro, you're pretty much treating her like an escort. Society has stooped down to the lack of moral values.
And now lately, I've been seeing guys wear nail polish. Like it used to just be, young boy, but these little kids are now painting the nails black. Like,
and I'll be honest to everybody, I don't knock no man for going to get a mani-pedi. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a man going to get a mani-pedi and asking for nail polish on his nails, getting French tips done. You know what I mean? Like, it don't make no sense.
Like, how you a thug, but you got acrylics on?
How you a thug? How you a thug and you're wearing skinny jeans, bro? Where do you fit your gun? I mean, I look at those guys, I'm like, where do you fit your gun? I was like, where is this hood? I see all these guys, and yes, they might have killed a whole bunch of people. Hell, some of them might be categorized as serial killers.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is what it is. But at the same time, I look at them and I'm like, maybe they do some of this stuff because they emasculated and they feel like they have to prove themselves as a man. Because the problem is in society, a lot of these young people feel like they're not a man unless their homies view them as a man. Their masculinity is based on what society looks at them and says. When we were growing up, we were taught to be individuals.
Yeah.
Yes, over time, I have to admit, I did sometimes where I messed up and, you were just trying to fit in with the crowd and you messed up. It happens.
Yeah, that old picture of your dad in that crop top,
We're not teaching our kids the right stuff. We're teaching them to be sheep.
Yeah.
We're teaching them to follow. We're teaching them that it's wrong to have some type of moral value. We're teaching them that it's not cool to treat your girlfriend or your wife with respect because then you're a simp. To be over there doing girly things because that's what's okay in society right now.
Yeah.
But we're not teaching them to what it means to be a man. We're not teaching them that as a man you're supposed to stand up for what you believe. As a man you're supposed to feed your family and be there. We're not teaching them none of those values, but then we sit back and say, well, it's because they grew up in a house with a female. That doesn't mean nothing. You can still learn if the people are out there to teach. And I was growing up, I'm from Africa, we was taught that the village raises the child.
Yeah.
So the village means society, everybody around it, the community, they raise the child. But these days, if all the community is pushing is trans agenda, gay agenda, feminizing men, what the hell is the kid gonna learn?
Yeah.
They're gonna learn that, hey, it is normal for daddy to wear a dress.
And most homes don't have a daddy in the home. So when they see the only man they see is in a dress, they're wearing lipstick, makeup, got acrylic nails, like even the hardest black man you got out here, he's wearing black nails. Like,
be a man. Be a man? What you mean, like you? I should be like you, Melvin? You a man? No, little nigga, you can never be like me.
And they can't say anything because you know what? I do have some gay friends out there, and I do admit some of them are probably manlier than some of the guys you see out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everybody will say, well, that's because the guy's gay or that's why he acts. No, it's not like that. That's just what's being marketed to people. There are plenty of gay guys out there who handle themselves like real men.
I know tons of gay guys back in Florida. You know Florida.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people who, play on that side. And you would never know they're gay. You would never know unless you ask them. Like, they don't feminize their voice.
Because at the end of the day, whatever you do, like I always say, what you do on your own time, that's your business.
Yeah.
I could care less what you do because you know what? That's your preference, my dude. Do what you do. Just don't impede into, on me. A few years back, I was at a bar. I was chilling. That guy came up to me, offered to buy me a drink. I say, nah, no thank you, sir. I got my own money. I'm good. Yeah. A few minutes ago, dude he tries to hit on me again. I said, it's no disrespect to you, man. But you know, I don't really. That's not my cup of tea. I don't swing that way, bro.
Yeah.
One of my homeboys comes through and he's gay, and I say, "Hey, bro, is this your homeboy?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Man, you need to come and get your man's over here, bro." He won't take a no for an answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I finally understood how some females feel when they say guys won't
won't chill out.
Yeah, bro. Like, I felt violated, bro. This man then told me that, oh, he likes his man big and chocolate. I was like, excuse me?
Oh nah, he said you chocolate.
Oh man, this man said he could change my mind. I say, bro, you're not gonna change my mind.
Yeah.
You couldn't take no for an answer.
And the fact that he kept going after no, that means someone on the second no said, you know what, you changed my mind.
Yeah, because people will peer pressure people into things because that's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they're doing to kids. That's what they're doing everywhere. They're peer pressuring people into it. Because the way a person is told is like, okay, if you say, nah, I'm sorry, I don't mess with trans women, then oh, you're transphobic.
Mm-hmm.
Because you won't mess with another man, well, another person who was biologically born as a man but now identifies as a female. You refuse to mess with them, now you're transphobic.
That's crazy.
Because you turned them down.
Yeah.
So my question is like, you know, that being said and all this agenda being pushed, where are the boundaries? It's all fun and games until your kid is the one that's dealing with it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I always say. I was like, it's all fun and games until it's your kid.
Mm-hmm.
I always say to my wife, we have a kid, it's homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because at the end of the day, I'm just being honest with people. I don't respect some of the stuff that they're teaching our kids.
Yeah.
I feel like the first thing they did was destroy history, removed history, made it seem like it didn't exist so that they could start pushing a whole new version of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And once they were able to do that, then it's whatever they say is the truth.
Yeah. I also don't like, with the feminization of black men, they don't ever talk about black history, like, besides slavery. Like, there's so much black history besides slavery, but they only want to talk about slavery.
Yeah.
And, like, people kind of don't have an identity to associate with. Like, black kids don't have an identity.
They don't have an identity because we push it all in 1 month.
Yeah.
And we try and say it all means in 1 month, but in that 1 month, we only talk about the
MLK,
Malcolm X. We only talk about a little here, a little there. We don't talk about our kings and our queens and our accomplishments and all these artists that have the struggle they suffered to get where they're at. You know what I mean?
We don't talk about Hannibal. We don't talk about the Zulu Empire. There's like so many.
We don't talk about none of that. We don't talk about Egypt.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the Great Zimbabwe. We don't talk about the Sahara Desert. We don't talk about any of the great things that make Africa and what make African Americans part of it.
Yeah.
We don't. We don't even talk about
Mali Empire.
We really don't really discuss what it is to be a black man in America anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because at the end of the day, we don't want them to identify as men.
Yeah.
We don't want them to identify as anything masculine. We are trying to break all of that in every race. So why are we gonna teach that to our kids? That's where I look at it. I look at it like they're just a cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be like Iverson, Jordan, Shaq.
Come on, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and those guys were the man's man. You know, Iverson had he had the I3s on with the suit.
Yeah.
You know, they told the man he had to wear a suit, and he made a little flair of his own to it. You know what I mean?
But what's crazy is after Shaq left the league, I'm pretty sure they put him in a dress.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
It's sad to say, but I look at a lot of people and I say, you know, a lot of our celebrities, and I blame it on African American culture and society itself.
Yeah.
Because the problem is we forget that a lot of our celebrities came from nothing and they ain't trying to go back to it.
Yeah.
So they will do anything in their power, including sell their souls to do it.
But I think this is just a problem in America because look at West Indian artists. You don't see them wearing dresses. Look at African artists because, you know, the culture
that's the whole
tells
thing.
them no.
That's like what I was telling my wife. That's how pathetic society has become in that we are so inclined to see everything our stars do, and we think it's all great, and we put them on this pedestal where they never do anything wrong. When at the truth of when it all comes down to it, they're teaching our kids utter BS.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade over here pushing his son to have gender reassignment and all this. We don't question what the hell his motives are.
Yeah.
We don't question what he's trying to do. We don't even look at it like it's wrong.
Yeah.
People look at it when Boosie opened his mouth and said, hey, man, it's not right, man. You guys should just let him grow up, let him decide when he's old enough.
Mm-hmm.
People looked at it like, oh, he's a homophobe. That's to each his own. That's his choice. He's speaking his truth. But at the same time, what he said was not wrong.
Yeah.
Let him get old enough where he can decide.
And we're not just trying to hate on these successful men. I also say, like, you can help out too. Just go to your local school meeting, your PTA meeting.
Yeah. Listen.
And show up and put in your input like, hey, I don't want my kids learning this. Like, there's nothing wrong.
Listen, speak up. The problem that's there is a lot of people feel like if they vote, they think that by voting, nothing changes. So they think that, oh, well, then it's pointless for me to say anything. No, bro. If it has to do with your kids and your family, open up your mouths, man. It's like we say down south, closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah. Like,
if you don't say something, ain't nothing gonna change. So people need to stand up and actually say something. People need to show what they believe in. Because all this trying to be PC and trying to be acceptable to everybody, it's not going to work forever, man. Yeah. There's going to be a point where you need to stand up for the morals and the values that you believe in. Because at the rate we are going...
Ain't gonna be no straight man.
Yeah.
There's not.
And it's not.
It's not going to kill you coming home early and seeing what your kid's watching. What you watching? What is that man in the dress? Like, and just changing the channel. Like,
exactly.
Your kid can watch something like you don't have to keep supporting the things that you don't generally believe in. Like, it goes on your day-to-day life, not when you're just mad on Twitter.
When I was growing up, I was taught some of the beliefs that my parents believe in.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's always been in history. Your parents are the ones who set the standard of what your beliefs are. The schools and the states are doing such a good job of pacifying parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because parents are told that if you speak up and you say this, we'll take away your kids. To the extent that parents are stuck in a corner, they can't do anything.
Yeah, but if enough parents actually cared, I feel like they could make some change, or at least monitor your own kid. You know, check that YouTube account. What is he watching? Like,
because to me, that's all that matters. Worry about your own before you worry about somebody else's kid.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, that's where it matters.
My own little sister, like, she was watching some weird things on YouTube. My dad was like, "What's this?" Like, you're not watching that again. We're gonna put something else on. Like,
and that's how it's supposed to be. Parents need to pay attention to what their kids are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody has a different parenting style. I can't be like, well, this one's better than the other. It's whatever works for you. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I do really feel like this stuff where I see these mothers over here painting their boys' nails, dressing them up in little princess dresses. Come on, bro. Like, where they do that at, man? Y'all need to stop that.
Yeah.
That is not right. And then they say that's not abuse. But how is it not? Back in the day, if you humiliated your kid like that, that was abuse.
Yeah.
Now it's okay.
It's okay because, you know, everything, there's no rules now.
That's just my outlook on everything. I mean, like, comment, and subscribe. And tell us what you think about the topic.
We want to hear what you think. And tell me what you're doing for your community, all right?
It's another day of It's Beyond Me. I'm your host, Freddie T.
Andre.
And hope y'all have a great week.